How can I miss you? You really just my enemy. What's up, my dudes? Haiden Deegan going to Star Racing Yamaha. Okay, I think we could all kind of see this coming from a mile away. This is not really a shocker to me at all. I know Brian Deegan's been kind of talking about it for a while now. And with everything that Star Yamaha is doing, it's kind of a no-brainer, I guess you would say at this point. But the whole thing to this is, all this really comes down to, I mean, let's just get right to the point right here, okay? How much longer is this Star Racing 250 dominance going to continue? How much longer is it really going to be, you know, Star Racing Yamaha on top, right? That's really the question here. And I know Brian Deegan kind of spoke about this a little bit as well. You know, Star Yamaha's been the big dog for a minute now. This kind of started back there with Jeremy Martin and Cooper Webb, and they've been doing it for a minute now. Them Yami 250's been on the A game for a while now. And it never fails. Eventually, at some point, the top team, the top manufacturer sort of shifts to another bike brand, and then they dominate for a certain amount of time, and then it shifts to another bike brand, and then they dominate for a certain, and then they're the ones making the best 250 for a certain amount of time, right? The Yami 250s have been winning all the shootouts, been winning everything in the pros. I mean, they've, without a doubt, been the top dogs for at least, like, what, 6-7 years now, at least. So, the whole question to Haiden Deegan going there is Yamaha going to still be the top dog here in another, you know, 3 or 4 years when Haiden Deegan realistically is actually in the 250 Supercross and all that kind of stuff? If he even goes that far with it, you know, like I always have to remind everybody, just because they get on one of these full-blown factory teams as an amateur and they look really fast as an amateur and all this stuff doesn't necessarily mean any kind of long-term success, especially not in the 450 class, you know. A lot of guys can do amazing at Loretta's, they can do amazing in the 250 class, and then they never really make it anywhere in the 450 class. So, I'm not saying that's going to happen with Haiden Deegan or anything like that. I have absolutely nothing against the guy, but I'm just saying I have to remind everybody, just because Haiden Deegan has signed with Star Racing Yamaha does not mean he is automatically a 450 Supercross champion, okay? Just because Haiden Deegan's been riding on Supercross tracks, well, you know, since the time he came out the womb, it seems like, does not guarantee 100% he's going to be a 450 Supercross champion. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of work has to be done in between. There's a lot of figuring out and being able to race at that high pressure level. There's a lot more to it than just you was fast as an amateur, so now, you know, and we put you on a good team, so now you can be amazing. It doesn't always necessarily happen that way. But anyways, I think that the other thing with Haiden Deegan is, you know, the fact that they have such a big following on the whole entire Deegan family has created such a big brand on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. I think that it's not necessarily a negative for Haiden, because I feel like it's allowing him to get better opportunities than if they just didn't have all of the popularity that they had on YouTube and everything like that. I mean, that plays a big part. Like, let's just keep it real. At the end of the day, the sponsors, they just want to get their name out there, period. That's why Axel Hodges has all the sponsors all over him, even though he's not really doing any kind of racing at all. He's so big on Instagram. I mean, that shit plays a part, man. It really does. Like, if the Deegans didn't have all the following that they have, I don't know if Haiden Deegan would still be able to get the same amount of opportunities to him that he does have. But nonetheless, it is what it is, and he gets his opportunities, and he's going to get his chance to prove himself and all that, so we'll see how all that goes. But I just think, I don't want that to, like, reach up and bite him in the ass, right? In the sense of, in his mind, it may be to that point where he thinks he's getting all these opportunities and everything strictly off of his riding, strictly off of his performances at Loretta Lynn's. You know, he may be thinking that in his head, but in reality, what it actually is it's a combination of everything that the Deegans are doing on YouTube and how much they're blowing up and all of the you know, the amazing opportunities for advertisers to get involved with a particular rider that has a huge fan base on a social media platform. It's all of that in combination with, you know, Haiden Deegan's performances at Loretta Lynn's and everything like that. It's both of those things combined that is giving him all of the opportunities that he's getting. And then, of course, his dad being Brian Deegan, you know, very connected with Monster Energy and all that. He's one of the first dudes I think that ever got with Monster before they was even Monster Energy. So that helps everything too, you know. So I don't want it to kind of, you know what I'm trying to say here? Like I don't want it to make Haiden Deegan think that he's better than he actually is, quicker than he actually is. You know what I mean? Better. I don't want him to start thinking that he's already like a 450 Supercross star before he even gets there. You know what I mean? Because I've seen it bite him in the ass so many times before. And, you know, Haiden Deegan looks like he's got his head on straight. He don't really seem like he gets too crazy about anything. So, you know, hopefully he can stay on course, and I think it's going to help him a lot. Being able to ride with all the guys at the Goat Farm, all the Star Yamaha guys, he should be able to be, you know, learn everything he needs to learn by going down there and riding. I think he'll figure out, you know, being the right lap times, getting everything figured out like that. I just know there's a lot of hype around Haiden Deegan. There's probably more hype around Haiden Deegan than any other amateur right now. And we've seen what that hype can do. Michael Lessie, Adam Cincerulo. I mean, how many more names do I have to name? There's a lot of guys where the hype just gets so insane that it just mounts so much pressure, and a lot of times guys just can't take it. They can't take that much pressure that early on. You know what I mean? And, you know, basically Haiden Deegan, when he gets to the actual 250 Supercross class on the Star Yamaha, he's going to have just as much pressure his first time riding, you know, racing professional Supercross on the Star Yamaha as, you know, somebody's going to have, a normal person would have, like in the 450 class when they go to the 450 class. You know, he's going to have that level of pressure on the 250, just with who his dad is, the history behind everything, you know, how big they've gotten on YouTube, all that kind of stuff is going to play into that pressure, hype, everything like that. So it's almost like a double-edged sword in a sense, and I'm just saying he needs to be careful with it, you know, not really worry too much about any of that shit, not worry about the YouTube channel, not worry about all this other stuff, just worry about winning races, period. Don't care about what bike you're on. Don't care about, oh my God, you're on Star Yamaha. Don't worry about any of that shit. Just win as many races as you can and try not to burn yourself out too early. You know, a lot of guys, it seems like they, especially nowadays, they have so much access in these different training facilities, so much access to, you know, riding on Supercross tracks when you're like 10 years old. I feel like a lot of guys, it's like they run the whole course of a pro racing career before they're even in the pro racing scene. You know, I think there's a lot of guys, they take it so damn serious and ride every single day from the time they're like 2 years old all the way up to the pro racing scene. And by the time they can actually start pro racing, they're completely wore out. They're completely burnt out. They're completely tired of it. You know, they don't even want to do it anymore because they've done it every single day for their entire life. And they've already raced and rode on those Supercross tracks. You know, back in the day, like back in the Villapoto and then even going back to the Carmichael era and stuff like that, they weren't really riding on full-blown Supercross tracks and stuff like that until they were all the way up, you know, damn near to that pro level. So it was kind of like something new for them to do, you know what I mean? It was like, oh, look at this. This is like a whole new thing. Let's learn Supercross. And I think that kind of extended a lot of those guys' careers. Whereas nowadays, like I say, you got all these dudes going to these training boot camp, damn near Alden level boot camps, riding on full-blown Supercross tracks from the time they're like 12 years old all the way up. And it's just like, dude, I can just already see the burnout and the shit like that hitting this generation of amateur riders way harder than it did like the Villapoto era and the Carmichael era. I can see so much more potential for burnout and everything like that. I mean, obviously, yeah, they're going to be better at Supercross. They're going to be better in general right out the gate in the going from amateur to pro. But nonetheless, even though they're going to be better, they're also going to get burnt out a lot quicker. I think you're going to see a lot more of these guys retiring at the age of like 24, 23, 24 versus like 27 to 30. You know what I mean? So that's all I'm getting at. I think Haiden Deegan's going to have a lot of fun these next, 3 or 4 years and then going into the pro ranks and everything like that. But it'll be interesting to see, once he gets to that where he's really been in the 250 class for like 3 or 4 years, and this current generation of amateurs it's going to be really interesting to see when those guys get 3 or 4 years into the pro 250 Supercross, and like then when they go to 450, how many years are they actually going to race in the 450 class? It's definitely going to be all really interesting to see when they get to that point, and it's going to be interesting to see how much longer Star Yamaha can continue this complete total domination. We may get 3 or 4 years down the line, and then Honda 250s start popping off more, or Pro Circuit makes a comeback, and then they're better than Star Yamaha. You just never know, man. The fun can't last forever. You know what I'm saying? The super team domination it never lasts forever. And that's what Brian Deegan was kind of talking about there. He was saying, how much longer is the Yamaha 250s really going to be that full-blown, top dog, Star Yamaha team and everything? But I guess the Deegans are kind of banking on it, at least Star Yamaha being the best team for at least the next 4 or 5 years when Hayden's on the 250, right? So, yeah, either way, that's my opinion on it. I think it's definitely probably the smartest move for Haiden because he's going to get way better experience, being able to train with all the other star guys down there at the goat farm. He's got Dylan Ferrandis down there that's already rode with him a couple times. So they're going to fit right in. He's going to get the best kind of advice and everything like that he could ever dream of having. Now they got Tomac on the team. I mean, come on now. It was pretty much a no-brainer for Haiden to go to Star Yamaha, so I don't blame him at all for doing it. And, for their sake, hopefully Star Yamaha will still be the best 250 by the time Haiden, realistically actually starts getting into the 250 Supercross class. But, again, I have to remind everybody, I think a lot of people have a lot of hype built up around Haiden Deegan, specifically with Supercross, because he's been known as riding on Supercross at a super young age, and his dad has kind of built him every stage of a Supercross track all the way up, so he could have these start on these really easy Supercross tracks, and then it just seemed like they built up their backyard Supercross track up to the point where, Haiden really had a lot of that Supercross training at a really young age, but again, that doesn't necessarily guarantee anything. We've seen it time and time again, these wicked-ass dudes in the amateurs or even the 250 class, and then it's like they couldn't do it in the 450 class for whatever reason, and now it's like, who the hell even was that guy? I don't even remember their name. So I think it's just very important for Haiden to keep his head screwed on straight, you know what I mean? With all the hype around it, everybody's probably coming up to Haiden like, dude, you're going to be a 450 Supercross champ now, bro. Oh, man. A lot of times if you think you're going to be that before you actually are that, sometimes it can be a little dangerous thinking that way.